Dear friends, I'm Shanice J., your host. Thank you so much for tuning into Love Her Will, the new voice of willpower. Today we are going to discuss how to stay encouraged during and after breast cancer. One of the main side effects of chemotherapy is hair loss. Imagine catching a chill because you don't have any hair on your head. Hair loss is also directly linked to womanhood and beauty. You may feel less beautiful without your hair. So today I'm excited to introduce Miss Alicia Ford. Hi, Alicia.
Hi.
Alicia is a wife, a devoted mother, and enjoys wearing her beauty with head wraps. She was diagnosed last August with an aggressive stage 1 triple positive breast cancer. Alicia believes that screenings should start in their 20s so that more women can find their breast cancer early on. So, friends, grab your scarves, grab your journal for this episode because Alicia is here to share her own personal journey with breast cancer and to do a head wrapping tutorial. Thank you so much, Alicia, for being here. You look wonderful.
Love her will, outspoken, gonna tell you how you feel. No fake news, no. Willpower gonna get you that real. Black girl power in heels, everyone's equal, that's how I feel. Black girl power in heels, everyone's equal, that's how I feel. Gotta love her will, you gotta never quit though. You gotta love her will, say that. Gotta love her will, you gotta love her will. Solid, gotta love her will, you gotta love her will. Connect with your willpower.
How are you feeling?
Thank you so much for reaching out to me and allowing me to be able to just tell my story, give my testimony. I feel good. I don't look like what I've been through.
Yeah.
So yeah, kicking cancer's tail one day at a time.
You are. Yes, you are. And I can just see that in your smile. You're glowing, and I'm just so grateful that you decided to fight and just keep on with this journey. So, how did you find? How did you find your breast cancer?
I found the breast cancer that I had, because it's gone, was in the right breast, and just I wasn't even trying to do a self-exam. I think I was in the shower one day and I was just, washing up, and I'm like, oh, I noticed a lump.
Right.
Breast cancer was the furthest from my mind.
Right.
To the point where it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe it'll go away. Maybe it's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's like COVID hit, and, we had to worry about, covering up and not going outside and, not touching this and not touching that. So then that, kind of took precedence, and I kind of forgot all about the lump that I felt. So then I said, after, COVID was like calmed down, I don't think it ever really calmed down, but essentially I said, you know what, let me go take this mammogram, my very first order to get a mammogram.
Okay.
Let me go take this mammogram. Let me go take this script so I can get a mammogram. To go get a mammogram. Again, I totally forgot about the lump, to the point where when I was having my mammogram done, I didn't even mention it to the technician because I totally forgot about it.
Right.
And then I said, I had my mammogram done in July. And then I said, it's been a week. I haven't heard any results. So I called my doctor. He called me back. And then when he called me back, he said that there was a suspicious finding and that he wanted me to go have an ultrasound and a biopsy. So I said, okay, went and had the ultrasound and the biopsy. And the doctor there, I asked her what it was. What did she think it was? Did she think it was a cyst? Because at this point now I'm nervous. Right. And she was just nonchalantly, she said, oh, well, it could be a cancer. And I didn't hear anything past cancer. Oh, like, man. Really?
Yeah.
It could be a cancer. Like, you see this all the time. And then it's like, you see this all the time. So for her, she sees it all the time. She can just say, oh, this is this and this is that. But for me, you tell me cancer and I
Right.
didn't hear anything past the word cancer, to the point where when I left, I actually had to go back inside to ask her what was the next step. So, yeah.
Wow. She said that so casual. Like
She
sometimes,
did.
yeah, sometimes they don't have bedside manners when they talk to you about, our illnesses and things that could be going on with us. Wow.
She really did. She just was, oh, it could be a cancer. And then she said, oh, but we don't know until we send it out for pathology. And I'm just like, okay. Now
Yeah.
that was on a Wednesday. So I went the entire weekend without knowing exactly what it was. But of course, my anxiety was
Yeah.
at all-time high. Because now I'm like, okay, what is happening? And then I got the call it was on a Monday.
Mm-hmm.
In August 24th, I got the call that, it was cancer. My doctor didn't want to tell me it was cancer. He actually wanted me to come into the office, but I had worked with this doctor. Well, I had worked for this doctor, and
Okay.
I kind of like got it out of him, and he was just like, please come to the office. And yeah.
Wow. Well, at least he was a little bit more sensitive than that technician telling you that news. Wow.
So I called my husband, and I'm bawling on the phone, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, I got cancer. When you hear that, to me, it was, we all have a number, but why do I have to die from cancer? When I heard cancer, I just immediately thought of death.
Right.
But I am in such a different space right now that, yeah. So.
Right. Did they do any genetic testing to see like how, you got the breast cancer? Did you have any kind of ideas of your own that, thought maybe why the breast cancer came about?
No, actually when my doctor called me and wanted to meet with me, he was already taking the initiative to get me set up to see a breast surgeon. Okay. And taking initiative to do he did some genetic testing, but again, that's not his specialty. So he just did what he thought would be good. And so once I saw the breast surgeon, of course, they sent me to their specialist to do genetic testing. And, all my tests came back negative. I am actually the first person in my family to have breast cancer.
Wow.
I'm 41. So it doesn't run on my mom's side. It doesn't run on my dad's side. But everything was negative. And I'm just like, where in the heck did this come from? So I'm convinced it either came from, I'm sure it came from the foods that we eat, or environmental.
Yeah.
Me trying to figure out where this thing came from, I would never ever figure out where it came from. Yeah. So, this is unfortunately the hand I was dealt. So, yeah.
Yeah. And that can really rack your brain too, just trying to figure out, well, why me or how, and it just comes down to, like you said, environmental. We just don't know the things that we consume, especially from all the years, even when we were younger, we weren't talking about, you never really heard about organic foods or, all natural meats and stuff. We was eating McDonald's and, just eating whatever we wanted to,
Right.
And so,
and I'm still not, part of me is this just something that was destined to happen? You know what I mean? Like, is it a gene? I'm sure it was a gene that I had that decided it just want to just mutate. And, this is what happens when the gene mutates. But it's kind of like, I just don't know. I can think all day long, yes, it's environmental, but was it really destined to happen?
Yeah. And you can also go see a genetic counselor. There are genetic counselors that do a full panel of testing. It's like 20 plus different genetic genes.
Right. And that's the test that I had. I think it's called the BRCA test.
Okay. That's just a singular one, but yes.
Yes. So I had that test done, and they test like all these genes.
Okay.
And none of them came back positive. They were all negative. So I don't know where the heck this
Yeah.
thing came from.
Yeah. Wow.
You know?
So how did your treatments and surgeries make you feel? Like, what emotions did you feel during that process, going through treatments and surgery?
There was and it still is, an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
You know, with me, when I was first diagnosed, I was, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening to me.
Yeah.
And why is this happening to me? And I just felt like I was being punished. Like, I am like the nicest person. I don't do anything to anybody. And it's just like, why am I being punished?
Yeah.
Like, what did I ever do to deserve this? So of course I went through that in the beginning. And, you know, and it's like, you know, someone can, like, the doctor told me I had cancer, but it was just like, dang, I really have cancer. And then it was, okay, everything moves so fast. You're diagnosed, you have to go see a breast surgeon, then you have surgery, then you have chemotherapy,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Before I can even let before I can even process that I had cancer, it was time to make a decision about something else. And it was just like, man, it was, and then in the beginning it's information overload.
Yeah, it is.
To the point where I had to say, you know what? I can't. I had to stop surfing the internet because, of course, you know, Google will have you thinking, planning your funeral.
Right. Right. That's true.
And then it was just like, okay, I had to just shut everything off, you know. And then, you know, even though I said I want to shut things off, I need to know what the heck is happening. I need to reach out to other women who have been through this, who have gone through this, who are survivors. Like, I need answers. I need to speak to someone.
Right.
So, you know, that's kind of where I was after my diagnosis. And then, you know, when it was time to have surgery, I'm like, I'm really about to have surgery. Like, I made the decision to have a double mastectomy as opposed to a lumpectomy. And the reason I did I wanted the double mastectomy is because when I was going for an MRI, there was a scare in the opposite breast.
Oh, wow.
I said, you know, I can't go through this again. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to have the double mastectomy. And yeah, you know, that was a big decision to make because, as you stated in the beginning, you know, that's like taking a part of my womanhood away. Even though, you know, of course, your hair and your breasts don't define you, but that's what makes you, you know, that's what we relate to.
Right. Right.
So, yeah, so I had the double mastectomy, and I was able to have immediate reconstruction because the cancer did not spread to my lymph nodes.
Okay.
So I was diagnosed with invasive ductal carcinoma.
Right.
And I caught it early. You know, it was stage 1, but it was aggressive.
Right.
So after I had my double mastectomy, of course, that was the most vulnerable I've ever been. Because when you have a surgery like that, like, I couldn't even do anything for myself.
Right.
Even when I go to even wiping myself was just, you know, and I had to have, and thank God I have a good support. I had my family and my friends, you know, well, my best friend, she came over and she had to help me like shower because I couldn't do it. And my husband was scared out his mind to touch me. He was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to break you.
Yeah, he didn't want to hurt you. Oh.
Like, you're not going to break me.
Right. You're fragile to him.
Right. He was like, oh my gosh, you just look like you're in so much pain. And, you know, and at that time, it wasn't as painful as I thought. It was painful because I had a D-flap procedure where they took the fat from the belly and then they reconstructed me breast.
Right.
So it's more invasive than, because a lot of people will say, oh, you had a tummy tuck. No,
No, it's not the same.
It's
It's not.
not the same. A
It's
tummy
not.
tuck is elective. This is not elective. I
Right.
did not elect to have cancer, and
Right.
they know.
Right. Exactly.
So they tread lightly when we talk about,
Right.
my procedure, because I'll let them know, this is not.
Right.
So, yes, I had the D-flat procedure. And again, it was painful, but it wasn't as painful as I imagined it would be.
Okay.
And if I had to do it over again and get the same results, I would.
Okay.
Just for women out there who, who are afraid or who just don't know. If I had to do it over again, the reconstruction part, I would.
Okay. Yeah. And that's good that you're confident about the surgery, and it's a big decision. And like you said, it seemed like they don't really give you enough time to even think about what kind of surgery you want to have. They're just like, okay, you can get a lumpectomy or you get a mastectomy. Which one's going to be? You don't have much time to think about it. We got to hurry up. We have to do it now. Then you have to have chemotherapy. And I'm assuming you didn't have radiation, right? Because it didn't get to your lymph nodes. So you
I'm sorry.
So you just had chemo? Okay.
Yes. So if I would have made the decision to have a lumpectomy, then I would have had to go the radiation route. Okay. But because I just decided to cut, to have both my breasts removed, and yes, you are correct, and it did not spread to my lymph nodes, and I was able to have immediate reconstruction, I did not need radiation. Okay. But I did need chemo because the cancer that I have I'm triple positive.
Yeah, and that's aggressive.
Right. And so when I was told that, first I was told I was triple positive, and then I was told that I had to have chemotherapy, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like it's like blow after blow after blow. And it's almost as if I don't even want to ask what can happen next, because
right.
Because I feel like this is a lot.
Right.
So,
it is.
So then it was like, okay, now you have to get ready for, chemotherapy, and then they have to do a port. I have a port. So, they had to place my port, and then right after they placed my port on a Friday, and on that following Wednesday was my first session to have chemotherapy. And that was just, I remember it like it was yesterday. It was, I get off the elevator, and as soon as you get off the elevator, you see the signs, and it'll say chemotherapy. And I'm like, man, I really have to have chemotherapy.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm walking, I sign in, and then the lady's like, okay, verify your name, your date of birth. And I did that, and she gave me a bracelet, and she's like, okay, now have a seat. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm looking around the waiting room.
Yeah.
And I'm the only one there that looks like me. And when I say that, I mean young.
Yeah.
African American.
Yes.
Because all these other women, they're older, they're older. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And then when they called my name to come to the back, it's like I got up, and it's almost like I hesitated, because I really don't want to be here. Like, I really don't want to go through this.
Exactly.
And so it's like she called my name, and I'm walking to me, it's like I'm walking down this long hallway, and she takes me to my room, and I'm sitting there. And then, the nurse comes in, and she introduces herself, and we're in COVID. Yeah. So mind you, I have nobody there with me. I'm alone, but I'm not alone, you know? And I'm just dazed. And so the nurse, of course, at first she was just like looking at her computer, and she was, talking, and I guess she was asking me questions, and I was dazed. Yeah. And she stopped what she was doing, and she looked over at me. And when she looked over at me, she could see the terror in my eyes, that I was afraid. And we were in the middle of COVID, and she pulled that curtain shut. And when she looked at me, it was almost like she became a mama bear protecting her cubs.
Yeah.
broke up because she came over to me and she just held me, and I just cried. Like,
Oh,
I just cried. Like,
yeah,
I couldn't do anything else. And she was like, I'm so sorry. She's like, you are going to be okay. She's
yeah,
like, it's okay. It's your first time. She was like, it's just the unknown for you. She said, I got you. She was like, you're going to be okay. And she held me at least for like 15 minutes until I can get myself together.
God bless her.
Yes. And I love her for that,
Yeah,
because some people aren't empathy, some people don't have sympathy,
right.
but I felt like she went above and beyond,
Yeah,
even though we were in COVID and, you can't touch this or you can't touch that.
yeah,
She extended her arms and I just like cried like a little baby.
yeah,
My first chemo treatment, and they have the social worker
mhm,
come in and talk with you. They
right,
also have like a priest to come in and just
yeah,
speak with you to kind of see where your headspace is. And
right,
anybody that came in my room, she would let them know, hey, this is her first time here, just
yeah,
be gentle with her.
yeah.
Not that they're not
Good.
gentle with all the patients, but
Right,
she
right,
just made me feel really, really special.
right.
So
Wow. God bless her for real. Because that, I remember that time too, and my heart is just, oh, just aching right now, just thinking about, you being in that space and just by yourself. Cancer is difficult alone, and then not to be able to have somebody sitting there with you makes it even more difficult. Um, wow, I feel like I'm about to tear up just thinking about it.
listen, I hold back tears all the time when I tell that story. And
Yeah,
then someone's like, I'm still in chemo. So I go for maintenance therapy. And every time I see her, she's like, hey, Alicia, how are you? And it's almost like, I'm like, I'm good. She's like, I told you.
yeah, that's
And
good.
it's almost like, I'm a pro. I go in there, I do what I
Yeah,
have to do. And because I know
right.
I know what's happening. I know what the next step is. But that first time I had no idea what the
Yeah.
heck was going to happen.
Are you
And
alone still, or have they opened up the hospital to allow visitors yet? Or is it
they
still?
have, they have about, I want to say about 2 weeks ago. So when I went for my chemo treatment, the last treatment that I went, I was able to take a family member with me. And that was good because it distracts you from everything else that's
It
going on
does.
around,
Yeah,
you know. And so that was good.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. Wow. What are some new things you have discovered about your journey? Just, you know, during this time, what are some new things that you kind of discovered that you didn't know before, either about yourself or just about breast cancer?
Well, you know, I learn new things every day. And
Yeah,
I say that because to me, until I didn't research breast cancer, I didn't research breast cancer until I was actually diagnosed with it.
right.
You hear about, the breast cancer walks and,
Hmm.
yeah, I participate sometimes in those walks, but you don't really, for me, I didn't really participate in
Hmm.
it because it wasn't happening around me.
Right.
Nobody I knew had breast cancer. So
Yeah.
when they would, when we were at work and they would say, hey, do you want to donate? Yeah, I would donate.
Hmm.
But I didn't actually do the walk because, again, nobody I knew was affected by breast cancer
Right.
until until I was affected by breast cancer. And then I started doing all this research and then reaching out to women like you and other breast cancer survivors and even patients that are currently in treatment as
Yeah.
myself.
Right.
I learn new stuff every day, but I've learned to, it's so crazy. I've learned to just discover, I don't want to really say discover, but just to tap into my body.
Yeah.
I'm learning my body, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah, it
You
does.
know,
It does.
I'm learning where every indentation is on my body. I'm
Yeah.
learning where every lump is on my body. I'm learning, I know the difference. Okay, this lump feels different opposed to this lump. So let me go get
Right.
this checked out. I'm just paying more attention to my
Yes.
body.
Yes. It does bring a sense of awareness. to your body. It really does. And you mentioned something earlier that I want to bring attention to. While you were sitting in the waiting room, you looked around and you don't see anyone that looks like you. And it's not that young adult white women of color, it's not that we're not getting breast cancer, it's because that we're not catching it as early. And a lot of times we'll catch it real late because we're not being looked as high risk. And we're actually the ethnic group that gets the more aggressive breast cancer than any other group. And then unfortunately, we're at the highest rates of dying from it too. So I'm just so blessed that you able to find yours at stage 1, like you did, by just, like you said, by accident, but it still was God, bringing it to your attention to get your scans and stuff. But yeah, young adult women of color, we're getting diagnosed more and more with breast cancer, and we're not seeing as many people that look like us. So those support groups that you're looking for are important. And that's why I'm doing this podcast, to bring more light to young women like us that are being diagnosed with breast cancer.
Yeah. Just thinking back, man, when I was first diagnosed, it was, I need to talk to somebody who understands. Like, I can talk to my family and my friends all day long.
Right.
They haven't been through it, so they don't know, they can't relate. And it was like, I found myself, on social media, because again, the world was shut down. We couldn't actually, we still can't have go to the breast cancer meetings or just have the group meetings. So a lot of the information that I found is through other breast cancer survivors. I can remember being up at 2 a.m. and just, I was on Instagram, and then I just started using Facebook. But I was on Instagram and I was hashtagging breast cancer survivors, and I came across wonderful pages. And I sent them young ladies messages and just asking questions, and they were also helpful to me. And they just kind of it's like, welcome to our community. But we know you don't want to really be in our community, but kind of welcome.
Yeah, right.
Wow. So, but yeah, I get my strength from family, friends, supporters, and I just knew that as I found myself asking questions to women survivors, I wanted someone to be able to reach out to me and ask me those same questions. And at first I was embarrassed. I was like, oh my gosh, I have breast cancer. I can't let anybody know this.
Yeah.
And then it was like, this thing chose me.
Right.
So I'm going to roll up these sleeves and I'm going to fight like crap, because yes, I'm going to fight it. It's going to be in for a rude awakening.
Right. I love that. And like you said, it chose you so you can share your story and to other breast cancer survivors, and you can be that advocate for them. And, that's one of the questions that I was going to ask you. You talked about your family, your friends, and other women gave you your strength. We know breast cancer can take away our self-esteem, kind of make us feel, like you said, embarrassed about it, or just a little too self-aware about every little thing, And how are you able to just build confidence, during this journey? Like, what's some things that help you feel a little bit more confident, to make you feel like, what, I don't look like what I've been through. I got this. I'm still a beautiful woman. What are some things that you've done?
Journal.
No, that's good.
Journal.
Okay. Yeah.
I journal. I write down how I'm feeling. If I'm having a good day, I write it down. If I'm having a bad day, I write it down. I just, because you got to get it out.
Right.
So one of the things that I do is, one of my good friends, she purchased a journal for me. Now, a lot of people purchase journals for me, but one of my good friends, she purchased a journal for me. And even, it's not always, I start off as, today I did this or today I did that. I just take this pen and I just write any word that I'm feeling. I just write all over the paper. And that's kind of my outlet.
All right, here we go.
All right.
So you were just talking about, Alicia, about journaling, how journaling has helped you. And you was describing the kind of journal that your best friend had got you.
Yeah, so it's just a journal, and I just been writing down everything. I don't always write a whole full passage. Even if I want to just write words just to get them out of how I'm feeling, that has really helped me.
Yeah.
That has really helped me.
Wow, that's a good idea to do that. I need to start doing that a little bit more because, like you said, you may not have the person right there to talk to about what you're going through. So to get it out, you have to. Because sometimes, look, I used to hold it in, and then all of a sudden I'll just start crying, boo-hooing out of nowhere because I haven't got it out, all my emotional stuff. And so that's a good idea to do that. What, in addition to journaling, has there been anything else that's been like your biggest help during this journey that you can share with another breast cancer survivor?
That has been so much. But my support, my support, they rock. They are awesome. As I stated in the beginning, I can talk to them all day long about, breast cancer. And even though they can't relate, they're like, well, what can I do for you? How can I help you? Do you need me to do anything? Do you need me to take you anywhere? And it's just knowing that I have that support, because again, the reason I started a Facebook, I got on Facebook is because my doctor suggested it. She's like, we're not meeting, the women aren't meeting as they should. So she was just like, I think you should, join Facebook and get in some of the groups. And when she was saying that to me, I'm thinking, Facebook, get in some of the groups. What in the world's going on here?
Yeah, right.
And then when I joined Facebook, and I'm like, okay, I don't know how to work this.
Right.
This whole Facebook man. And so as I started navigating it, and I started finding these groups, and the women in the groups are awesome. They talk about everything.
They do.
Even if I have a question, and I'm like, hey, this may be a weird question, but X, Y, and Z, and they're like, oh girl, please no. And then they just go, give you the answers or kind of lead you into the right direction. And I'm like, these women are awesome.
Yeah.
Although it can sometimes, I have to disconnect sometimes because, some women, and then at one point, the reason I said sometimes I have to disconnect is because some women have it so much worse than me, and sometimes when I found myself just not having a good day, and I log on and I'm on and I'm just reading a passage that someone has written, and it's like, how do I say goodbye to my daughter, or how do I say goodbye to my family? I just been diagnosed with metastatic, breast cancer, and it's just like what, I have no words. So it's just like, and I'm complaining about an ache and a pain that I have. So let me just disconnect for a while and, gather myself, because I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can't downplay my experience either, because
you can't.
I'm still, I'm still going through, I'm still in survival mode, basically. Right. So, but yeah.
Exactly.
A journal, and I love my family, my friends, and my supporters, and yeah. So
that's good advice. So you have shared so much today.
Talking about that is just like emotional.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just you shared so much today, and like you said, don't downplay what you're going through, because what you're going through is just as important as the next woman. When we talked about so you talked about some down moments and some high moments. Can you define willpower in your own words? And when was that moment when you're just like, you know what, I got this, And I know you still have some days where you're feeling a little down about your situation, but when was that time when you just really felt like, okay, I can handle all this?
To be honest, my first day in chemotherapy. Yeah. And the reason I say that is because when I went to chemotherapy for the first time, I had a reaction. and it was a reaction to the Taxol.
Okay.
So, you know, they give you your pre-meds, and when they give you your pre-meds, I'm like, okay, again, not knowing what to expect. I thought that all my medication was going to be in one bag.
Okay.
When I get there, it's like everything is in, of course, different bags. So I'm like, okay, gave me my pre-meds. I was fine doing my pre-meds.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was time for the Taxol. So my nurse gave me the Taxol, and she's like, are you okay? Are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like as soon as she, as soon as she connected the IV,
Mm-hmm.
I was fine. She walked away for like she wasn't even gone for 2 minutes. And I'm telling you, I guess that's how long it took that medicine to, get in my system. And the worm started spinning, and my head was spinning, and my heart was beating so fast and so hard that I felt like it was going to just jump out of my chest. Then I started tasting the medication. Then I became nauseated. And then I thought that I could talk, but I really wasn't talking, to like call her back to tell her something is wrong. This is not right. Yeah. And so I'm hitting the call button. And when I hit the call button, it's like those nurses and doctors and techs, I don't know where they were, but they were there. Yeah. And they were like, okay, are you okay? Almost like kind of trying to keep me focused on trying to not let me, not let this thing scare me. Yeah. So, they're talking to me. They're like, are you okay? Can you hear me? They're taking my vitals. They're just doing everything. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, what is happening? And after that whole ordeal was over, and they stopped the medication, and then the doctor said, okay, well, give me a stronger steroid. Yeah. So then then they gave me the stronger steroid. And so then it was time to administer this Taxol again. And now I'm just afraid. I'm just like, I'm like, don't go anywhere. Stay here. I need you here. Don't give me the medicine and then walk away. Stay right here. She's like, she's like, baby, I'm not going nowhere. I promise. She was just like, we had a hiccup, and it happens because, this is your first time, having this medication. So once she assured me that, the stronger steroid should help, so that I can be able to be given the Taxol, I was like, okay. And so, she gave it to me again, and I was fine. And at that moment, I decided, you know what? I'm going to fight this thing. I'm not going to feel sorry for myself, because, I don't want to say I felt sorry to myself up until I had chemo, because that's not true. But I did have days where I was feeling sorry for myself. And I said, you know what? Come on, give me everything you got. I got this. Yeah. I got this. I decided that, you know what? This is my life, and I'm going to fight for it. Right. I'm going to fight for it. Yeah. So at that chemotherapy treatment, I decided, I'm going to fight for this.
Wow. That's good. Because that's a scary moment. That could have pushed you to the other way to say, you know what, I can't do this, and this is horrible. Oh my gosh. And, panic mode, because that's kind of scary. But instead that you stood up and you was like, you know what, I got this. Wow.
Yeah. I'm going to fight. I was crying, but
that's
I'm going to fight. Like, my life is worth fighting for. Like, yes, my son, my husband, my family, my friends. So, I decided that's when I was going to fight.
Yeah.
When I was in chemotherapy, like, okay, this is what I got to go through. Okay, devil, you are a liar, and I'm going to show you.
Right. Wow. Yeah. And that's what you're doing. I'm so proud of you. That's excellent. Thank you so much for sharing your story today. I know it's not easy. It's, a moment of being vulnerable, letting people know that, the deep emotions of what you've been feeling while going through this. Because, like, when we're talking with our family, friends, it's kind of hard for us to say, you know what, today I just feel like I can't make it. You know what I mean? Because we don't want them to be worried about us or feel bad or anything like that. So it's really hard to share those emotions that what we're really feeling. And I'm just so glad that you made the decision to keep fighting. And like I said, you're a champ. You're phenomenal.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing the tips today with us. You know, ladies, go on Facebook, Instagram, find women that's going through what you're going through, you know, and don't be afraid to ask questions, share your journey, you know, get you a journal down your feelings and your emotions. That's just a way to kind of let things out, because if you hold it all in, that can stress you, and that can make, you know, your journey a little bit more difficult, holding those emotions in. And so
And get to know your body. I would
yes.
get to know your body. Don't be afraid to touch them, to feel them, to just know you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's normal, know what's not normal.
Right.
You know.
Exactly.
So,
yep. And that's for the Yep. So basically, and just don't be afraid to ask your doctors, ladies that don't have breast cancer that are watching this, don't be afraid to ask your doctors questions. And like Alicia said, don't be afraid to know your body. You have to know yourself, and just to keep aware of what's going on. Because, like, you know, she doesn't know how she got breast cancer. So we can't say, oh, because I don't have family history, I shouldn't be aware of this. No, you have to be aware of everything, because you just never know.
Sorry.
That's okay. All right. So we're going to, oh.
I'm sorry. Are you still there? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. All right. So thank you, Alicia, for sharing your story. Now we're going to do a hair wrapping tutorial with Alicia, because she be looking bad in these head wraps. She do. She be wearing these head wraps real good. And I was like, man, how she tied that up so nicely. So I got my scarf. Ladies, go grab your scarf real quick. We're going to do a little head wrapping tutorial. These are good for, hey, if you don't feel like doing your hair that day, or women with breast cancer, if you don't feel comfortable yet walking around with your, you know, your bald head, you can wear a scarf, you know, and that just kind of boosts you up. I used to wear wigs, and I used to wear scarves too as well to boost my confidence. Oh, you disconnected again. Oh, there we go.
Oh, I had to figure out how to hang it up without hanging it up.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, you ready?
Yep, I'm ready, girlie.
You know, this chemo has put me in menopause, so I've been rocking this beautiful bald head of mine lately.
Yes.
But I purchased my. You see my hair growing back?
Oh yeah, it's growing back.
It's growing back.
Oh wow, that's nice.
Thank you. I purchased my scarves from Old Navy or
Okay.
Ross. Ross is my favorite place.
Oh.
I like to go purchase my scarf.
Okay.
And, you know, just a regular scarf.
Okay.
Yeah, just a regular scarf, and I take it.
Okay.
And I take it, and I just, you know, I put it on my head like that, and then I gather it in the front to make sure it's smooth.
Okay.
You know, and make sure my earrings are showing, because, you know, I want to show my earrings. And then I just take the scarf, and what I do is kind of like twist it. I twist it, like I kind of like 2-strand twist. When I had hair, I was 2-strand twist. I kind of just like 2-strand twist, and my scarf is rather long. So you know, after I twist it, and then I kind of like take it, and then I just wrap it around.
Okay.
While still twisting it. And then I have to make sure, you know, because I want it to be nice.
Yeah, mine is pretty long too.
Yeah, so you know, you twist it, and that's how you get that like braided effect.
Okay.
And then I just wrap it around, you know, and twist it, and until I can't do it anymore. And that is it.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah.
Ooh, look, my wig is getting in the way. I probably wouldn't recommend wearing a wig and a scarf, because it's starting to get a little too hot for that.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna put my wig on one day, and I'm gonna try. I just haven't done it because these hot flashes is just too much for me to bear.
Yes. I'm going through the same thing. That's why I said it might be a little bit too much to wear both. So it's starting to get hot, the hot flashes. But that looks beautiful.
Right.
Yes. I love it.
That's it.
Thank you. I never thought
Thank
about
you.
going to Ross for scarves. So thank you for that little tip. I'm gonna have to check. I might
Absolutely,
check them
Ross.
out today.
Yeah. Ross and Old Navy,
Mhm.
especially in the wintertime. Now that it's summertime, it's probably going to be a little harder to find. Well, not really summertime, but now that the weather's starting to change, it's probably going to
Mhm.
be a little harder to find. But there's some like online boutiques that,
Yeah.
or I can go to the hair store and I get scarves
Yeah.
from the hair store. But
Yeah.
I like a nice thick scarf so I can
Yeah.
get a nice full
Right.
bun
Full
up front.
bun. Yeah.
So,
Well, I love it. Was there
so
anything else you want to share with the breast cancer survivors that are watching, or anyone that's not a breast cancer survivor, about your journey, or any advice before we close
sure.
out?
For the breast cancer survivors, I just want you guys to know that you rock. We all rock.
Yes.
Continue to keep fighting. There is light at the end of the tunnel. If you need to reach out to me, please reach out to me. I'll leave my information with Shanice, and
Yes.
she can share it. Well, she can
Yep.
share it with
I'll
you.
share it.
But again, if you need to reach out to me, please reach out to me. If you
Yes.
need to talk, I'm here to listen.
Yes.
Because a lot of times you just want to talk and just get it off your chest.
Yeah.
For the young women who haven't had breast cancer, who haven't just, who's not going through it, still get to learn your bodies, and don't be afraid to be an advocate. Even though you may be young and you haven't had a diagnosis, but if you have, I'm sorry, if it runs on your mom or your dad's side, talk to your doctor, kind of like push them so that you can get some type of genetic counseling, so you can find the answers that you need, so you won't end up with it, so you can prevent it. Early detection is the best.
Yes.
Early detection is the best.
It is. And one
So,
thing I want to say, as you're wrapping your scarves, lady, think about some affirmations. You can say to yourself while you're in the mirror, while you're wrapping, say, hey, I'm beautiful, I'm fearless, I have all the willpower to get through this, I am courageous. Just think about all those good things. And I just appreciate you, Alicia, for joining us today and sharing your story. Ladies and gentlemen, please be encouraged. Love her will. Bye-bye.
yeah. Goodbye.